Okay, fantastic. I've got some big news this morning. Okay, is that exciting? It's all right. Some people in the room already know about this because due to their role and their responsibilities, we told them. Another piece of big news is, of course, it's great to have Richard and Elaine with us this morning. They're going to be bringing the word and sharing about Living Hope Ministries. And I kind of almost want to apologise to you guys that I'm throwing this out on the same day as you're coming. So it's kind of, we haven't given you the full attention of everything that God is doing through you. That, of course, we know is a fantastic thing, and it's great to be a part of. Yeah, kind of, but there is a reason why we've had to do it this week and not leave it much longer. And so we got big news for you. Are you ready?
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Next year, we are going to plant a church. Next year, we are going to plant Sandbach Community Church. And we are going to see God do some incredible things through that, we believe. Now, I hope that your response, next slide, has been, wow, that's amazing. It was. There was some nice claps. That's really good. Okay. I hope that this is kind of maybe... sorry, Tony. I hope that's kind of like the sort of the sense that you're feeling from it, some of those kind of ideas, but actually at the same time you might actually not be so much thinking, wow, that's amazing, so much as, wow, that's amazing. Because you might be thinking, wow, that's a big thing. And you might be thinking, we're just a small church. And you might be thinking, well, do we have the resources? And you might be thinking, will this not interfere with what we're needing to do here if we're giving attention to something over there? And you might be thinking, I don't know quite what to make of that. Well, I want to explain this morning very quickly, because I don't want to take up too much of the time that we want to give to Richard and Elaine this morning. But I want to talk to you a little bit about the journey and the whole heart of what's happening with this church plant. So let's have a go. First of all, many of you will know that this is not a new thing. Ever since I got to Alsager, I've had a heart to do something in Sandbach. Actually, if I'm honest, I thought we'd missed our chance at one point. But I feel that it's come back round again for us. And certainly, if you remember the 5-year vision that we kind of put out about 2019 time, that the idea that we would have planted a church or be in preparation to plant a church was a part of that. Of course, we did think that the landscape would be very, very different, and COVID and other things have kind of maybe interfered with that a little bit. But we still believe that now is the right time, and I'll explain to you a little bit how that has come. But I want us to think about this as we are going to have a baby. Okay? Any of you that have ever become parents, put your hand up if you discovered that you were completely ready and had everything nailed down by the time the baby came.
Absolutely not.
No, my hand is somebody says still don't. No, absolutely. You know, the reality is, okay, a baby is a lot of work. A baby is a lot of disruption. A baby is a lot of time taken up doing things that we could be spending doing other things, important things. But a baby is an incredible thing, isn't it? Yeah. And when we, and I'm sure that at least in most situations, when you came to have that baby, the work, the inconvenience, the sleepless nights, all of the things that were involved in that, yes, you took your toll, and yes, there were times when you were just sort of maybe felt a bit overwhelmed and thought, I don't know what I'm doing here. But generally speaking, there was also, I hope, accompanying joy. This accompanying sense of this is a good thing that's happened. And we believe very much that that's the case with this church. Next slide. The good thing is that this is a church, this is a baby with two parents. Okay? Okay. I'm not going to tell you who's the mum and who's the dad, because I don't know, and that's weird anyway. All right. But we are doing this in partnership with Middlewich Community Church. And we've just been blessed at the fact that actually both of us have independently got this idea of wanting to plant this church, feeling that this is something that God has put on our heart and that God is calling us to do. And we came together and we had an Anthony, the pastor there. There's a picture of him and his wife Osa up there. And Anthony and I sat down and had lunch together one time and just had a conversation about what we were feeling about it, which after it emerged just kind of completely incredibly. And just found that on pretty much every major area we were of exactly the same heart, exactly the same mind, had exactly the same thoughts about how it should go forward. Thought that was incredible. There, of course, there are details where we've got to work it out between us, but just this sense of an absolute flow in terms of what was happening. Okay, and we're going to keep it simple. So what we're looking to do is we're looking to just launch an afternoon service. And this is not going to, this is going to be kind of in an afternoon. It's going to be a pretty simple affair because that's what's sustainable. And we're going to share this and see where it goes. And of course we, you know, in terms of we've got Cafe Church, of course, Dan and Sarah at the back thinking, okay, we're going to, of course, continue to do Cafe Church and support Cafe Church and encourage that team, and it's great that there's a really great team working with Cafe Church. But in addition to that, and the advantage of working with Middlewich is we can do that, and we're going to get this going and get this started and trust God to see what happens. Okay, but we're going to keep it. It's going to be a very, very simple thing. Having it in an afternoon means it doesn't put any strain and any pressure or extra work in terms of duplicating what we're doing here on a Sunday morning, of course. And it frees up people, and we very much hope that folks will do that, to go along to this and support this and boost it as we go. Next slide. The other thing that I would say is don't be shy, give it a try. Yeah, let's have a go at this. We can look at the amazing, the big job that it is and the resources and all of that kind of stuff, and we can forget that we have a big God. You know, we have a big God who is more than able to provide everything we need when we're doing something that we feel and believe that God has laid upon our heart. Do we believe that? Yes. That he is able? Yes. That he is strong? That he is mighty? That he is big? Yes. That he can do this work with us? Fear not, says the Lord, for I am with you. Our God is able. And we can trust in him. We can rely upon him. So we can have a go because God is able. I also want to talk about what I believe is a prophetic word that's come to the church, okay, and to me, about this whole thing. As you know, Assemblies of God, the fellowship of churches that we belong to, have a real heart and vision for church planting at the moment, with a vision to plant 400 churches, a process that's been going on for about a year, a bit over a year now, and will continue for another 5 years to see another 400 churches planted in this country, which will take us up to about 1,000 churches in Great Britain, Assemblies of God churches. And the good news is that we had a vision the first year for 20 churches, and we planted 24. Not bad, is it? We have a vision this year for 30 churches. There have already been 6 churches that I know of that have been planted. It might have been even more since I was told that. And it's a great thing. And it's a great thing that actually we're now playing a part in that as well. But one of the things that came on in one of the presentations particularly stuck out at me. It said, how do you grow? Okay, and very often we think in terms of growth like this. We grow upwards. We get more people, more numbers where we are. Yeah? More all kinds of growth actually, isn't there? But we get growth where we are. Whereas actually he was saying, what I feel is going to happen more and more is that there is going to be growth outwards. It's going to be much more like that model. And that, of course, is what he was referring to was church planting. And I just felt something in my spirit at that point saying that the key to us really starting to see growth in this place is, at least in part, going to be caused and going to happen when we take this step of faith to grow outwards as well. Okay? And I believe that that is something that God has probably put on a whole bunch of people's hearts as they watch that video, but certainly I do feel has put on mine. What are we left with? Any more? Or is that the last one? Okay, so what happens next? Okay, what are we going to do? What's our next step? Well, I'm continuing to meet with Anthony, and we're doing all kinds of talking and planning to like that. We're planning on looking at a potential building in on Tuesday that we may venue that we might meet, and we're going to have a look at that on Tuesday. But in terms of our initial starts, what are we going to do? We are going to pray. We are going to birth this church in prayer. We're going to put prayer right at the very centre of what we're going to do. And so what we're going to do is obviously we're going to take a bit of a breather over August, but on the 6th of September, the leaders and the trustees are going to meet with the leaders and the trustees of Middlewich Church, and we're going to meet one another and talk to one another, Middlewich Church, and we are going to pray together. Then we are going together have united prayer meetings each month, starting on the 13th of September, praying each month together for this project. And we're going to pray. And there's one or two other things that are in the pipeline as well. But primarily, what are we going to do initially? Well, we are going to start to pray. And I want to encourage us as a church to do that, to pray. What are we doing? What's our first step? Pray. Pete, what are we going to do about this church plant? What's the next step? Pray. You know, what are the things that we need to just pull together and make sure are happening and in place? Oh yeah, well, we'll get to that. It's okay. We all of that's being timed and in plan. But what we're going to do is pray. But you know, how is God going to cause this church plant to work? This is such a big job. You know, well, God is able, and so what we're going to do is we're going to pray. Amen. Yeah? And we're going to see what God is going to do. If you've got any questions, don't ask them now, but by all means, do come and chat with me, and that would be great.